Welcome to this week's leadership video. I'm sitting out here at the Ramada at church where, with the fireplace next to me and the rain coming down behind me, it's a nice cool day. And I love rainy days in the desert where the desert is being watered and we know that it will grow. The plants and the grass, the flowers of the desert will bloom because it gets rain. But on those rainy days in the desert, there's one other thing that we do. We check the rooms to see if there's any leaks that are coming through the roof. There's all kinds of square footage of roof space here at Northridge, and Bill, our facilities director, does a great job in discovering where there's leaks, where they're coming from, and how we get them fixed. So on a day where we rejoice at the rain, there's also this productive paranoia that says, okay, this is great, what's going wrong? And that productive paranoia is, interestingly, one of the three corners of the triangle that Jim Collins, the business guru who advises companies on how to be the best that they can be, he says that one of the three characteristics of a company that is incredibly productive is that they have a productive paranoia. That they, above other companies, watch their dollars. They have extra money in the bank just in case something goes wrong. They don't take great leaps of expansion but they take little steps. He tells about Southwest Airlines. One year, they had 100 cities in the United States asking them to come and open up in their cities. And Southwest only opened 4 because they didn't want to overextend themselves, even though there was 100 cities encouraging them to come. When I think about that idea of productive paranoia, it strikes me that God tells us about that too. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, beginning in verse 12, he says this: "So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. No temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it." Do you understand the picture? The picture is when you feel like, boy, oh boy, I'm on top of the world for God. Paul says to the Corinthians, be careful. That's the time to be careful. Paul wrote to Timothy, a young pastor, in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7. And he says to them, he's warning Timothy. He says in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7, describing the qualifications for leaders in the church, he said, he must also have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap. Have a good reputation. Only pick leaders who have good reputations so that they won't fall into a trap. To the Galatian church, Paul wrote this, Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. And as leaders, periodically, we're going to have to come alongside other believers, other followers of Christ, and correct them. But Paul says this about it: brothers, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently. But watch yourself, or you also may be tempted. Do you get that picture? Leaders, good leaders, have a productive paranoia. They rejoice in where God has brought them, but they are always aware of the fact that they can easily slip into temptation, that there are spiritual battles going on. You know, this week I'm going to be praying for each and every one of you. I'm going to pray for the leaders of this church. I'm going to be praying for the facilitators and the Sunday school teachers and the Kate's Cup leaders and the elders, each and every one of you, in order that you can stand strong, but also that you would have a productive paranoia, that we would not become arrogant and prideful about our relationship with Christ, but instead we would be careful lest we fall. And then the last part of my prayer for you is that you would pray for those in the groups that you deal with, whether they're children or they're adults, men or women, teenagers, that you be praying for your group, that as they mature spiritually, that they would have a productive paranoia, a gratefulness to God for their growth, but a humility that recognizes that each and every one of us is tempted with temptations from Satan that would cause us to fall. I want you to have a great week. I really do. I want you to rejoice in what God has done for you, but also carry with you that productive paranoia. I'll talk to you next week.